Two, one.
And we're live. Welcome back to the first ever beer bracket. Well, second ever beer brackets live, but the first one that will be posted after this. And cheers, Alessandro. You see my
Cheers,
cat
my friend.
background here. We're just talking, having a little.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. But it's cutting off the glass though. I might have to turn it off.
Oh,
But
but it makes it cozy. It makes you feel like we're in a
yeah,
pub.
I know.
I like
I
it.
know. It's about the atmosphere. That's what I was going for.
Cheers, my friend.
Here's my friend. So for anybody, of course, we were chatting before this. So we should tell them what we're drinking, since this is a beer channel and since we do talk about beer. So long story short, I was in the LCBO, the liquor stores here, not too long ago, and I got sold. They know how to get me because there was a holiday aisle. Man, I don't know if I told you about this. I told you I got this there, but they had like a holiday gift aisle. And so
what an amazing aisle. Like you just walk down and there's gifts and holiday spirit.
Exactly.
Like
So at first it was all just like, like liquors. So they'd have like the Bailey's box, right? Where there's like a bottle of Bailey's and like a nice glass and like a little Bailey's scarf or something like that, the Bailey's winter case. And they had like, one for Jameson and like all these different liquors. So it's like, oh, okay, I enjoy good liquor, but it's not really my thing. So I'm walking to the back towards the beer fridge and I see like, oh wait, I think I see the St. Bernardus logo over there. And I saw they had like the mixed taster packs. As I got really excited. I'm like, oh my God, it's the holiday time is here. And I ran over and I saw this. So the Saint Filion Belgian Abbey Beer Discovery box. And so neither Alessandro or I had heard of the Saint Filion Brewery before. And they have the little logo, the virtual backgrounds. The logo, little certification, certified Belgian Abbey beer. So it is brewed on an abbey. This particular abbey in Saint Filion has been around since, according to the case, 1125. You can see that abbey right there with the dude with the walking stick, probably walking to get himself some beer.
Yeah, you can tell he's excited by the shape. Like he's looking and he's in wonder.
He's so excited. What? And why wouldn't he be? Right? You're in pre-medieval. I don't know what the time period would be. Pre-medieval Belgium. You're walking through a field. You see this wonderful, wonderful abbey, and you can smell the delicious cooking malts.
And all you can think of at that point is like, I've been walking all day. Like, there's going to be beer tonight. And it's going to be good beer.
So I'm starting off with this Belgian Discovery box with their blonde. I was just telling Alessandro the blonde here is 7.5%. It is extremely highly carbonated. I've had it open for a little while, so you can't really see the carbonation too much anymore. But this was pretty much 50% carbonation, 50% not before. It was, and it's delicious. It's really malty, really smooth for a 7.5% beer. Alessandro, what are you drinking? You gotta tell our friends.
So I am starting off with Bass or Bass. I don't know how to pronounce it. Which it's a beer that I've been reading about recently, and I had never had. And I happened to be in the store the other day, and they had it. So I said, well, it's time to try it. Like it's one that I've never had. Like the world's first pale ale. From Burton-on-Trent in England, and it's quite delicious. I'll say way more malty than what I expected, to be honest, but still very, very pleasant and surprising.
Yeah.
And you were telling me sorry, go ahead, man.
I was gonna say the carbonation looks like it disappeared on it pretty quick when you poured
it was
there's a nice head on it there.
At first, yes, but as you saw, like it went by, like especially compared to the one you're drinking, like it just poof dissipated. But you were saying that in Montreal, like they have it quite often on tap, right?
They do, which is really, I've never had it in a can or a bottle. That one, I know, like in the little corner stores at Dépanneurs in Montreal, they do sell. You can find that in cans pretty much everywhere. I don't know why that one in particular in Quebec is super common. I guess Bass has got like this crazy distribution, like in Ontario where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen it since I came here, so they might not even sell it here in the LCBOs or the beer stores, but in Quebec, it was everywhere. Every little corner store would sell Bass, which is really, it's interesting why that particular one, like that and Boddington's, those two were like the two British representations that they would have there. And then, they would have like the Harp and Guinness and like
that, which we know very well. Like,
yeah, exactly. Those are like the representatives from Ireland, but the British beers, they would always have Bass and Boddington's. Those were the two. Maybe a review of Boddington's is coming soon. We might have discussed this This might be something that's
exactly. And I apologize. It seems like Ron might be calling me here, so he's probably tried to getting on the call. Let me see if I can get him. It's all live.
It's good. So this was going to be a chat with Mr. Ron Theriot.
There he is. Yes. Let's see. He's joining right now. Hello. I see he joined the call. Let's see if can you hear us?
Yes.
Hi.
I've never done Zoom. Hello, nice to meet you. I've never done Zoom, so I was trying to.
You did it. You're on. Nice to meet you, Ron. How's it going?
Fine. Hold on, just let me make sure I got all of this stuff.
No problem.
No problem. Take your time.
Out.
You probably got to click to turn on your video too at the bottom there. It might be off.
Okay.
There we go.
Yes. There you are.
Good to see you, Ron. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you.
Thank you. I know we had trouble getting it set up, but
No problem. Yeah, we started the live a few minutes ago. We figured we opened a beer and we were just chatting, so we figured might as well start and go live.
oh, so you're doing it live now?
Yeah, we're doing the live now.
Oh,
We just got
sorry.
out. Oh, okay. We were just talking about
We were just chit-chatting.
I told my friend Paul, I said, something told me you're going to try to call me right when I'm getting ready to go on. And then he called me. And I said, I knew you'd call me right when I was getting ready to go on. And he
Well,
did.
it's always how it works out. That's always how it works out.
So can y'all hear me all right? And
Yeah, I can hear you.
okay?
Great. Yeah.
yes.
I don't
yes.
know if I'll be lagging or whatever.
No, we
I'll let you
can
know if
hear
you are.
perfect.
Okay.
Ron, I gotta ask you, like I've been dying to talk
Let
to
me
you.
get a drink.
Yes, please do.
Please. And we have a viewer here. One Man's Odyssey.
Ooh.
He's saying the crossover of the century.
Said the what?
Hey, Nate.
It's one of our
Crossover of the
followers.
Good old Nate.
Okay, well, anyway, it was nice meeting y'all, and I've been watching your channel for however long it's been on, and I make comments.
I know you do. You know what? And we've seen so many of your videos too. That's why Alessandro said that he got in touch with you and he wanted to. Oh, cheers.
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 Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know if y'all will ever watch my videos.
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, you can't not, right? Because if you
You're a
search
legend.
your review on YouTube, I mean, your videos are probably the first 9 out of 10 that you'll find right away. So it's like you've been doing this for so long.
11 years.
11 years. That's crazy. That's what I have so many questions about that, how you got started with it. I mean, but first, let us know, what are you drinking?
I was about to tell you that. Okay, so I have a Falstaff glass, but I'm not drinking Falstaff because, well, it's been out of production for 16 years, so I can't drink it. I bought this at, I don't know, some yard sale for like 50 cents or less. So, and then I'm drinking Steel Reserve 211. They say high gravity lager, but it's really not that high gravity. This one that they sell in Louisiana is only 6% alcohol.
Okay.
And this has been on the market since 2003. They used to have the 8.1% sold here, but for whatever reason, they went with the lower alcohol version, which I much prefer. The 8.1 is harsh.
Yeah.
It's filling. It's like eating a beer, and this one's much milder, high gravity lager. If it was a German beer without the adjuncts, it would be a Helles
Yeah.
Bock. All right, I'm gonna go put the rest in the fridge so it doesn't get warm. These are not made to warm.
I'm excited to try the quad here, Alessandro. This is like, I'm excited to tell Ron about this too, about the tasting pack.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was trying to decide. I decided I want to start with the blonde, but then it's either do I go with the triple or the quad. We'll find out. Yes, there you go. So I was just telling Alessandro about this, Ron. I was in the local liquor store here, and for the holidays, they had this little mixed gift pack out there, and I never tried any of their beers. So I was like, you know what, I'll pick it up. They got the triple, they got the quad, they got the blonde. So I figured I would give it a try. And started with the blonde. Already almost done. We've been drinking these for a little while, but it's real. Have you tried any of their beers before?
I have had some Symphony beers. We don't really get them around here. A lot of a lot of European imports have been chased off the shelves by the local craft beers. So a lot of the great European beers we used to get, you don't see them much.
You don't see them as much anymore. Yeah,
Nope.
this one in particular, they don't sell at all here usually, but I think just because of the holidays, they brought in all these mix packs to sell as gifts. And this was one of them, along with the St. Bernardus mix pack, which I was really happy about. Well,
If I
cheers,
saw
bro.
that, I would buy it. Cheers to you. I'd buy it.
Nice to meet you.
Cheers.
Okay, so I have to ask you, because we're dying to know. We've been doing this for a little under a year, and like you said, you've been doing it for 11 years.
That's correct.
So how did this just start as something you were doing? Like, you posted one video for fun just to see how it would go. It caught on. I mean, because now you have over 14,000 subscribers, which is pretty incredible. So take us through that a little bit. How did it start, and how did it get to where it is now?
First, I want to say, I hope I didn't hold y'all up too long. I thought it was starting at 30 minutes from now.
That's okay.
And I would have been glad to start 30 minutes ago, but this is the actual story.
Okay.
And it's a true story.
We love stories.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're in Italy and in Canada, right?
I'm actually in Florida. I'm from Italy originally, but I live in Florida. So that's why we're like an hour apart, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, you're an hour ahead. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm in Canada. I'm in Ontario and Hamilton.
Yeah, I've drove through Hamilton, but I didn't stop. Okay, so here's the Tiger Cats. So here's the true story.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
So years ago, I started drinking beer as a project in 1996, February 1996.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a project, actually. I said, well, people always drinking beer, so I didn't drink beer. So I said, well, let me see what this is about, because people are always talking about it, and my impression is it's not very good. So I started buying different beer brands in February '96, and the first brand I tried was Miller High Life. I figured I'd buy something common and cheap.
Yeah.
And I thought, I could do this, it's interesting, it's an interesting characteristics that I hadn't believed it would have. So then I said, I know, I'll just try every beer brand I can get a hold of. So I started a project. And then as the internet grew and whatnot, and they started having beer review sites like Beer Advocate, Rate Beer, and that.
Yeah.
So I would read reviews. They just popped up, on internet searches. I didn't know anything about Beer Advocate or Rate Beer, but I just started reading them. There was a third site that's no longer around. So I would read now, and now so I would like to write some comments, but you had to make an account. So I made accounts on Beer Advocate and Rate Beer and started writing written reviews.
So you did the written reviews first. That's interesting.
Yeah, for a long time. So then. And I followed a pattern that someone had taught me, and I thought that was a good pattern to follow. So I just followed a formula. And so then in 2010, I was sitting here. I said, I'm getting tired of reading all these reviews. It's just so boring, just reading. I mean, it's not boring, but it's like monotonous. So, and I was thinking, I wonder if anybody ever thought about doing a video review on YouTube. YouTube's around now, and that would be something unique. And I looked up, I said, well, let me just type in a common beer. So I typed in Budweiser.
Yeah.
And sure enough, a number of reviews came up, and I started watching them. And I said, oh, okay. So they did think about doing it. So I started watching, anything I would think of, I'll type it in. And I had a YouTube account just to make comments on whatever, which I hardly ever made comments. So, but then I started making comments on the beer sites, you know what I mean? The channels.
Yeah.
And then after about a few months, really after a few days, I thought, I guess I could get a camera and make my own comments. I do written reviews. I could just convert it into audio visual, like take what I write and just convert it.
Yeah.
So,
you had to get a camera. This is before phones, before smartphones. Such a process.
I actually still use a camera. I have a Sony camera. But
Yes.
so I waited. It went on for a few months, and I thought about it. I just didn't know if I wanted to. It was like I said, it's going to be a hassle. It's going to be all this kind of technical problems and everything, and I don't want to deal with that. But finally, in November 2010, I said, "Oh well, let's see what happens." So I went and bought the camera, which thankfully broke. That was a terrible camera, and then it lasted 3 years though, so I had 3 years of bad quality video. But I said, I don't know how this is going to come out. I said, probably, perhaps, possibly people will ignore it. Maybe they'll hate it. I don't know, but I'll just put it out there and say, this is what I think, and then I started getting positive feedback pretty quickly. So then I said, I'll do it once a week. Once a week, I'll make a video. But then it turned out I don't do any kind of editing, as you probably noticed. So I have no production values. So in other words, it took no effort aside from researching the beer. I used to teach history. I taught history and geography for over 20 years. So I like to research the history of the beer and all more even than anything. So that's where the effort goes in, not the editing or the anything. So then it was very easy to do the videos and put them on YouTube. So then I went to every couple of days, and then it got to where it's just like every day, because it didn't take really any effort. So that's what happened. And I never was like, oh, please like my videos, because I figured, well, if they like it, they'll like it, And I never said, oh, subscribe. Would you please subscribe? I'm begging you to subscribe. Oh, I'm begging you. I just figured, well, if they want to subscribe, there's a button, they can press it, If they don't want to subscribe, don't subscribe. I don't want to be out there begging people, If nobody watches, hell, too bad. So
but we got a question in the chat. They want to know,
the subscriber count start growing, that's all I'm saying.
We got a question for you, Ron. Somebody in the chat wants to know, what discontinued beer do you most wish still existed, if there is one?
That's a good question.
It's a very difficult question. Well, I don't know, because like things like Falstaff and Bud Dry, I mean, they're not like exceptional, like saying, "Oh, I just can't believe I can't make it. I can't go on without them." They were nice, but I don't know. It's hard to say.
I guess it would have to be like a seasonal, right? I think there's something we always talk about in our channel, how there's this white whale from Unibrew that we tried once in a mix pack that we just loved, and it was a Black Forest cake beer that they had made. So it was a quad, but it had like a little bit of cherry, a little bit of dark chocolate flavoring to it, and it was just incredible. I think Alcindor was like 11% almost alcohol. It was ridiculously high in alcohol.
It was pretty high, but again, like being seasonal is one of those things. Sometimes you get them once and you try them, and if the brewery just decides like not necessarily to make them again because maybe it didn't do as well, like you might not ever try it again.
I think it was Coney Island Brewing Human Blockhead Barrel Age. That's the one I wish they would bring back.
Human Blockhead Barrel Age.
That's an important name.
It was like 10 years ago in our review. It's called Coney Island Human Blockhead Barrel Age. It might have been 2012. It had to be 2012 or 13. That was one of the early barrel aged beers. I had much exposure to barrel age, bourbon barrel age.
Yeah.
It was like 13% or something. And I remember that's when the bombers were out. Everything was in bombers.
Yeah.
And I remember drinking it. I drank half. And I was like, this beer is really not that strong. I don't feel anything. It's overplayed. I was thinking it's overplayed. So I said, well, I'm off of work today. I'll drink the rest of it. So I drank the rest of it, and I was sitting here at this very desk, and I said, after a little while, I said, I have to get up and lay down on the floor. So I got up because I have carpet in this room. I got up and I said, I'm going to lay down for 15 minutes on my back. So I just laid down.
This is after one bomber?
Yeah, it's like 13% barrel age,
Yeah.
22 ounces.
Yeah, that's
That's no joke. So I lay down, like, and so I said, after 15 minutes, I just laid on my back and I was comfortable, So after 15 minutes, I said, I feel better now. But I got up, but it was 2 hours.
You passed out for 2 hours.
I was just laying there, but I thought it was 15 minutes, but it was 2 hours. So that was a strange experience.
It's a beer that made you travel in time.
Ron, I can tell that you used to be a history teacher because the way that you pulled up the name of the Coney Island beer, but also the date to be able, well, not the year, supposed to be 2011, 2012. I can tell you have like this database of dates and names and remind that you're referring back to. So I can tell you're a history buff right off the bat. And I noticed that in your videos too, how you're able to sort of, I'm assuming you're not like reading notes or anything because it looks natural. It looks like you're just kind of thinking and looking up and looking around.
I am. The only notes I write, I'll show you. I write notes on a piece of paper because I'll forget, like, they'll have 6 different malts and 4 different hops. I'm not going to remember those, So I'll write that down. What are the malts? What are the hops? Or any other ingredients like cherries or chocolate, like Daltona.
Yeah.
I'll put the ABV, the IBUs. I'll put what year the beer came out.
Yeah. And
then I'll try to write down the ratings, like what do the people say about it. But as far as like those history things you're talking about, that just come in my head,
That was one of the things I was impressed about with you, how you were able to just sort of sit there casually with the beer and just sort of pull up all these facts and be able to just really casually sort of lay them out. I think it shows that you have the brain of a history buff, which is really, it's impressive to me because my memory is terrible. I have to, if we're doing a review, I got to study it before actually going on camera, else I'm not going to remember anything. My memory is terrible for especially dates. I can't remember dates, but I'm always impressed by people who can remember exact dates perfectly. So this happened, and
I have bad short-term memory, and I'm absent-minded. You know what I mean? Like I'll put my glasses. Where did I put my glasses? I can't remember. And then I'll realize, oh, they're right there. But I can remember things that aren't like practical, like, oh yeah, it was Leopold II. Don't you know he was the Holy Roman Emperor? And so stuff like that has no practical value. Practical. And when I was a child, I could always remember, people say, you're crazy, you're a crazy person. But I tell them, no, I'm not crazy. I can remember being a baby, not always being a baby. But I can remember instances of being a baby. And then I can remember everything that happened since I was 3 years old, like basically every day, Yeah, I don't understand why, but I could just remember like pretty much whatever day happened since I was 3, I can remember it,
What?
That's impressive.
You're a prodigy. So every day, I remember I watched this documentary once about somebody who I remember the type of memory that they label it as, but basically they can remember every day. And I don't know when it started as, it might've been from 3 or 4 years old, but basically there was a point where they almost snapped into consciousness. And then from that point on, they remembered every single day. And they could remember headlines of news events that happened on that particular day. They could recall back to. It's like, what happened on November 10th, 1979. And
right. I can't, but I can't like place exactly the date of those kind of things, but like, I'll give you an example. Like I can remember my 3-year-old birthday party. When I turned 3 years old, I can remember the birthday party, remember what the cake looked like, remember who was there, remember where they were sitting, remember where we were. And then my father tested me, like my father, he says, I said, remember we used to live at that house on a certain street? He was like, how you remember that? You were like 6 months old. I said, well, and I was describing the house to him. I said, remember the TV used to be over here, and then you walk in the door, and then they had this rocking chair to the right, and then they had this back room. He was like, that's amazing, because that's the way your house was. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it was no photographic evidence of it. So anyway, so when I decided what to do as a career, because I didn't know what to do for a career, I was like, well, I'll just teach history because I read about history anyway. It's a hobby. So if people will pay me to do my hobby, I'll just do it,
That's a solid choice right there.
I'll be right back.
My beer exploded.
I saw what happened there.
I opened the triple and it just exploded. And I tried to think on my feet and I didn't succeed.
Yeah, those Belgian beers are really like aggressive. So if you pop them open, sometimes they just blow up. Boom.
Aggressive is a good term.
It blew up. And if you could see this, the table I'm at right now, it's just completely covered in beer. This is a disaster.
And the bubbles are like so fine on those beers.
Yes, they're just like so tiny and just like they explode like almost like champagne bubbles.
Mm-hmm. We have a champagne hangout. I'm going to try to schedule for New Year's Eve. We've been doing that for about 4 years now, where we do champagne on New Year's Eve.
Oh, nice.
So I got one ready to roll.
So I kind of interrupted you before the question that we got in the chat there, but I'm really curious. So with your channel, so 11 years, you started just putting them up, and then interest started growing kind of slowly. Was there like a specific video you posted where things started taking off, or was it a gradual increase over 11 years that got you to where you are now?
Well, it wasn't really slow because when I started doing the videos, I did have like a plan in the sense that I thought to myself, I said, let's start like a foundation at the bottom and go up, because I said, let's start with all the basic beers that everybody knows about. Now, whether they like them or not, it's, immaterial. So I said, we'll just do Budweiser, then Busch, and then we'll just go through each brand that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
Olsen Canadian, I did that, Labatt, and everything. I didn't know how to pronounce Labatt, but I was saying Labatt, but it's Labatt. Oh well, you live and you learn. So the viewership was high to start with, because whatever you think about Budweiser, good or ill, and a lot of people in this world that we're in, they hate it, like it's like a crucifix to a vampire, But,
yes, that's something I want to ask you about after, but sorry, go on.
So but it doesn't matter, because people are going to watch it, because people do drink it, Bud Light, and that did Bud Light, Miller Light, So then I started getting like immediate comments like, oh yeah, I think whatever their comment was might be negative, And so, and I tried to be nice. I said, well, I think it's only fair that if people make comments, I should answer those comments. So every day I would take time to go through and answer every comment, every legitimate comment, not stuff like, you should kill yourself, scumbag, stuff like that. You get those kind of things, but they're kind of filtered. Yeah, they're filtering those out these days a little better. But so then by responding to people in an honest way, not with a bunch of flamboyance, just saying, oh yeah, I appreciate you watching, always, I do appreciate people watching. And so then it just continued to grow. So it kind of went quick. And then a year later, another beer reviewer was asking me, like, how did you get monetized? I was like, dude, they came to me and asked me. I didn't ask for this. They like literally approached me. I don't think I would have ever asked for that. But if somebody says, you want some money? I'll say, yeah. If it's illegal or immoral, I mean, depends on what you want me to do. If you want me to carry a bag to the airport, but I'm not supposed to look at what's in the bag, I don't think I'm gonna do that. But
yeah. So it just there wasn't one video that did it. There wasn't one that was like, okay, after I posted this.
No, there wasn't like anything that made it blow up.
Yeah. So it was really just gradual over when did you hit 1,000? How long did that take?
I don't know, because at first it was just like people were commenting, I was responding. I was always watching everybody's videos. Like I've said this so many times on my channel. I said I'm more of a viewer that happens to make videos. I'm not really a video beer review guy. I'm mostly just a viewer who happens to make video. I'm not saying that as a smart aleck thing. It's true. Like people are like, I'm already seeing your comments everywhere. I'm like, yeah, I'm a viewer. So I was always engaged with these people. Some were not very nice. Not gonna name names, but I could. But I remember, I think it was in March of 2011. I said, I had 15 subscribers. And my daughter was saying, wow, you got 15 people that follow you. I said, no, It's amazing. Why would they want to watch this? You know, and then it was, you know, 150, 200. I don't know when it was 1,000. It was faster than slower, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought it helped by not trying to drum up support.
Yeah.
Because see, back in those days, you could sign up to these subscription services where they would what they call pull a crowd. I think they kind of cracked down on that. But so I know some of I'm not going to name names, but some of these guys got all kind of subscribers and they brag about it. But they're paying for it. It's like, ooh, look at my beautiful girlfriend. Isn't she beautiful? Yeah, but you paid for her to go out with you tonight.
Well, that's the thing, right? You can have, you know, 100,000 subscribers, but then you get 10 views on every video. So
right, some of these people got bukus of subscribers, but they got no views.
yeah.
So what's the point? I mean, so I can go around bragging, oh, look, I'm on Facebook. I got 10,000. I got 40,000 subscribers. I'm a big shot. No, you're not a big shot. You're the big shot in your own mind, in your own delusion.
Well, that's one of the things that we kind of, I mean, we never did any kind of marketing or promotion in the sense where we tried to do either collaborations with people or try and get the word out there externally in a way to try and get eyes on it. And to say like, okay, we have 300 something subscribers, but I think what we like is that if we post a video, we get 100 something or maybe 200 views on it pretty quickly. So we know that the people who are there are watching it and they're
right.
It, and we get interactions and we get comments, which is for us, we did this as just for fun to start with at the beginning of the pandemic because we were bored.
Right.
So that
it's all about your goal. It's like, what is your goal? Okay. Now, some people, I don't want people to take this the wrong way. I'm not saying that I got a problem with that. If somebody is going to post their YouTube on every social media platform, and I'll see some of them, they got like, you can catch me on Instagram, Pinterest, this, that. That's fine. I don't care. I don't take offense to that. If they want to sell T-shirts, you know, buy my T-shirts. I don't know why anybody would want to wear a T-shirt for a YouTube channel, but or merchandise or do what they call that, where you can pay the people.
Patreon.
Yeah.
And you can imagine how much money I've contributed to that over the last 10 years. But I never take offense to it. It's not my mission or whatever you want to call it. My mission has no mission. I said this in my morning time videos. The point of my channel is there is no point. You know, and I'm not saying that to be flip or ugly. But it's the truth. So.
No, that's nice. Like, but I'd say like chiming in on what Joe was saying, because you've been around like for so long on YouTube, right? Like it's almost anytime you search for any kind of beer review, your name always shows up, and that like for both of us, I'm pretty sure like you're almost like a legend in a sense that like you search for a beer and there's a video of yours there, you review it. Do you, as far as like the process of selecting the beers, like I was curious about that, like do you have a pattern, like a way that you go maybe by season, or you just like go with what you find and you discover? Like how does that process work?
It's an interesting question because I was talking about that this morning. It's true. It's true. I've looked up beers on my own to do research, and I see my face,
your face
popping up, and I say, "Oh man, look at this!" But
look at this guy.
But it's no surprise because I mean, when you've got like endless content, it's like it's overboard. You're putting out videos constantly for 10 years. I don't know how many people say, how many videos you have? I said, I don't know. I'd be embarrassed to look it up. So, and here's the pattern I use when I go there. It's like the channel. Whatever I see, I go to the store, or my friend David, he does, the guy with the beard, he'll do reviews with me sometimes. It'd just be like, he'll say, look what I found. I say, what is that beer? He said, I don't know anything about it, but I found it, and he'll say on the phone, boy, this stuff is good, and so then I'll go buy it, or I'll just be going to the store and I'll just look around, like literally just looking. Oh, that looks good. Oh, I'll see the price. Oh, well, never mind. Or I'll say, oh, well, okay. And I'll just, it's not like I say, now this month I'm going to buy IPAs. This month I'm going to buy Christmas beers. I just grab whatever. Now, some people, if I do taste challenges or some kind of theme, it's usually the viewers pushing that. They'll say like, why don't you do some more beers with food? And I'll be like, all right. I don't really feel like doing it, but I'll do it. Or they'll say, do taste challenges, which I hate to do because you got to drink all this beer. I don't want to drink a lot of beer. But yeah, the answer, short answer long, is that I just grab whatever I see. Like this morning is a perfect example. I just saw 2 things at the store at 7 o'clock this morning. I said, I'll get that and I'll get that. True story.
So we have another question in chat. So Niall, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Niall, but says, hi guys, greetings from Toronto. Greetings. Should the LCBOs be abolished? As an Irishman newly resident in Canada, this monopoly needs to be smashed. It sucks. So for a little bit of background, if you live in Ontario or most Canadian provinces, the liquor sales are managed by the provincial governments. So depending on the province, these things are a little bit more liberal. In Ontario specifically, to buy beer, you need to go to either what's called an LCBO, which is the government kind of liquor commission, where they have stores around in different neighborhoods, or an actual beer store where you go in, and those are the only out. Now they're starting to sell them in big chain grocery stores. You can go in and buy certain big brands of beer. But now to answer your question, I hate it because I'm from Montreal, and in Quebec, you can go into any corner store and there's the biggest selection of beer and wine you'd ever imagine. And they're open till 11 p.m. and you can walk in and buy whatever you want. And they're on every street corner almost, and it's not government regulated in that sense. And I'm used to that. And I'm used to that kind of freedom and ability to not have to depend on a store that's necessarily 10, 15-minute drive away that is going to close at 6 p.m. So yeah, I'm with you. I think they should be abolished. I think the government controlling liquor sales in that sense. I know you guys in the US are a lot more free in that sense. I know that you have a lot of independent liquor stores. I mean, you can go in some states, you can go into a CVS and you can buy hard liquor, right? You can buy beer. So
wait a minute. It depends on the state.
Exactly.
On the state.
If you go to New Hampshire, there's state-owned liquor stores.
Yeah.
And that's where you can buy your alcohol. If you go to Iowa, Virginia. Now, if you go to Louisiana, it's wide open. Like you're talking about, CVS has liquor.
Yep.
Walmart, you can buy liquor off the shelf like a box of cereal. Every store in Louisiana that sells anything sells liquor, beer, and wine. Florida is not quite as liberal, but they're pretty wide open. But Florida's a little bit more stricter. Now, Mississippi, much stricter. Texas, Arkansas is outrageous.
Pennsylvania is insanely strict.
Who?
Pennsylvania. We were in.
I was about to say that. I was about to say Pennsylvania is the worst. In Utah.
We were in Pittsburgh, my wife and I, about a year and a half ago, and we just wanted to find a case of beer, and we couldn't. We had to go to a bar, and bars would sell 6-packs to go. So you go into, and they would advertise it on the outside, buy a 6-pack, and then so you go in and whatever they had in their fridge that they were selling by the bottle, they'd make a little custom 6-pack for you, and you'd pay 3 times what you should be paying for it and take it to go.
I know. I've been through it. I've been there. I hate it. It's terrible. It's horrible.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, like we'll get back on the trend, but my glass is empty. So I picked this beer for my second beer. I don't know if
such a classic.
You guys are, I know Ron is like, and Joe too. But I thought like, I haven't had this in a while and I was kind of craving it. So I saw it on the shelf and I said, oh, I gotta drink this with you guys like today.
The Schlenkerla beers are so kind of cyclical here in Ontario. I can only find them at certain times of year. They'll have them for a little bit on the shelf, then they disappear for 4 months. And I can only find the Marzen. That's the only one I can get. But have you tried this one, Ron? The Schlenkerla Marzen?
All of them. And the one that's the best is that green label Doppelbock.
You said the same thing, Alessandro, right? Wasn't that your favorite?
I think the Urbach
The
Is
Orbach.
that the one? Like that's my
Okay.
personal favorite. I don't remember the label.
Yeah, it's like green and ivy. It looks like ivy, but
Okay.
that is so strong. And
Oh no, that's sorry, you're right. That's the oak. Yes, that's
yeah,
absolutely, yes, you're right. That's even better. But it's I can't get it always. It's I know they do it for Christmas time, around Christmas time.
yeah.
It's delicious.
It's good if you're trying to gain weight.
It's a meal in a glass.
We I don't know if you saw it. We interviewed Matthias Trum, the owner of the Schlenkerla breweries. What was it, Alessandro? About 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago.
About that, yeah, and that was such a fun interview. I mean, we found out like so many little fun facts about the brewery and the history, and him being what is seventh generation, like
Seventh generation, yeah.
yeah, he's he was showing us in the interview, he had pictures of his ancestors on the wall and saying like, yeah, this guy up here, my great
He lives over the brewery, and that's where his family has lived for generations. And they have
Yeah,
like
that's awesome. I've never done anything like that.
It was cool, but he because this was like the height of COVID when we talked to him, right? And so it was over Zoom, of course. And he kept saying like, "Oh yeah, when you guys want, travel down to Bamberg and come see me, and that's just something I would love. That's a dream of mine. And I've told my wife already, like, as soon as we can travel, we're going to Belgium. We're going to Bamberg specifically because I want to go see Matthias at Schlenkerla. And I wanted their beer garden that they have there looks amazing. They make this thing called the Bamberg onion, which he talked about a little bit in the interview. So it's just a giant white onion that they cut open and they fill with like, I think there's like mincemeat in it, right? And a bunch of vegetables, and then they slow cook it. And it's just,
oh yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. And they pair that with, pair it with the Marzen there. And it's just,
yeah, and the beer there is served out of wooden casks. So you really get the full, they don't use kegs. Like it's really very traditional. And yeah, I mean, it's a beer that I don't get often, but like it's to me, it's just so unique and particular. There's nothing else like it. And I feel like once you try it and you get hooked to it, like it's almost like addictive in a sense.
It
is. Yeah, that smell, that campfire smell that I was compared to when you crack open that bottle.
It's amazing. Yeah. The Doppelbock that Ron was mentioning, like with the oak, it's just so particular and so thick. Now I haven't tried their Fest beer. I think it's the Lent beer. I think you have, Ron. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah.
How would you compare it? I was curious. That's actually one thing that I wanted to ask you to the oak, the Doppelbock. Like, what are the differences and similarities in a sense?
Well, it's been so long since I've had them. It's hard to say. I mean, they were both. The main characteristic is just smoke.
Mm-hmm.
But it's. I have to go and revisit them, and I'm open to doing it. So I don't want to give an answer that's
fine.
Incorrect.
That's understandable.
But I just remember that when I did the review of each of those back then, I could get them pretty easily. So I was like, I'm gonna buy this one, I'm gonna buy that one, and they weren't expensive. And then they all had subtle differences, but they didn't have profound differences. But it was so interesting, like you're saying, just researching the company, and then they all had the different strength levels and all. I was fascinated by them, but to say that what was I can't say, accurately.
No, it's understandable. It was a tricky and difficult question.
It's like 8 years ago when I did it,
Yeah, so we have a couple of more comments in the chat here. So Nate's saying distributors also have local monopolies in certain areas, which is very true, even where laws aren't an issue. That's a big thing in Ontario. And Niall, who's also, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name now, please let me know. But as you live in Toronto, so I mean, what you can get in the LCBO and what you can get through the government liquor stores here is so dependent on the distributors. And there's very specific beers or very specific, brews from certain breweries that you can find and nothing else. And it's a shame because if somebody wants to be able to sell like this one, the Saint Filions, right? Like, let's say there's somebody who owns a little liquor store and they really love these beers and they want to be able to offer them as, a SKU, as a line in their store. They can't, they don't have the option to do it. And it's really a shame. And I think it's the same, like Ron, as you mentioned, in certain states, like the limitations and the restrictions there are just kind of ridiculous. And Alessandro, I know you're familiar with Total Wine down there, right? Have used to do some work with them, and it was the same thing, right? Distributors have such a hand and play such a role in what beers you can find and where.
Yeah, from my understanding, and I'm sure Ron probably has even more information in this, but from my point of view, what we dealt with a lot is that the 3-tier system that is available here in the US. So like you're either an importer or a producer, and then you have a distributor in the middle, and then the retailer. And so what the distributor has available is kind of like what you have access to. So that can dictate in certain areas like what you have available and when. And that can vary from state to state, from county to county, and at least here in Florida. So sometimes you're a little limited in what you can access. And it's funny how certain products of a certain brewery or winery or even distillery you have, but certain others are not available because maybe they don't have enough of a market in that specific area. So you might wonder like, oh, well, I can get this beer, but why can I not get this other one? It's because, there's that whole chain needs to be fulfilled, like in order for you to get that product.
So Niall has another interesting question. So he says, he's talking about craft beers. So I think this is interesting because especially where we are in Ontario, if you go into the LCBO, they have a lot of local craft Ontario breweries. And that kind of takes up, aside from, the regular Heineken's, Budweiser's, Coors Lights, the Ontario local breweries, the craft breweries take up a majority of the shelf space, which is great because if you want to discover local breweries, there's tons of options there. But he's saying that he finds at least maybe, and I'll correct me if I'm wrong, but the trend is kind of going towards beers being over hopped, which I think, Alessandro, we've talked about in our IPA beer bracket of the month episode before, right? Where how did IPAs become as fashionable as they were at least 10 years ago, or leading up to a couple of years ago? Now they're kind of being phased out a little bit in terms of, in place of sours and other forms. But do you guys find that too, where craft beers are kind of have leaned towards being over hopped in the sense where it makes it just not even palatable anymore for the sake of throwing hops in there?
I'll let Ron answer first.
No, I noticed about six or 7 years ago that some of the beers were over hopped. Mm-hmm. Like certain brands, I thought that they were going overboard, but it seemed like they dialed it back and got that under control.
Yeah.
But now, I drank some really super hoppy beers lately, like one that was called wasn't Hop Stupid, because they don't make Hop Stupid anymore, but it was like Bell's Double Two Hearted. That was a strong beer that would knock your socks off with hops. We drank another IPA that was super high, and I think if it's done correctly, it's just an experience. We got a problem around here with a lot of just low quality craft beers, whether they're stouts, ales, pale ale, India pale ales, or whatever they are. I mean, it's like, it's very random. Like let's say I buy 10 of them, 5 will be really nice, and the other 5 I'll be thinking, what's wrong with this stuff?
They're local, like Louisiana craft brewers.
Yeah, Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, that kind of thing. And
yeah,
you just wonder, you think to yourself, what
are they thinking?
And so, yeah, somebody sent me some German beers, Czech beers, Polish beers this past week. I made some bad comments. I shouldn't have made them, but they're going to go on air. But I was like, this is real beer, but anyway.
That was a good question. I think Alessandro and I.
No, but I don't think they're over hot. But Alessandro didn't give his answer.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that like I agree with Ron in the sense that like they've toned down and brought like more finesse in the use of hops. And like Joe mentioned, like there's new styles like coming up, like at least here in Florida, like one of the biggest one in the past 2 years is sours. Like they've really expanded, especially like what they define as kettle sours. Like there's a lot of that, like with more lactic acid like type of strain. Like there's a lot, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. But I will say that if you still go, like it seems like there seems to be a good amount of IPA oriented beers. Like now, like I think the hazy IPAs, at least here in the area, are the big trend that you seem to see. Which yeah, it's difficult because it's kind of like started here in, if I'm not mistaken, in the New England area, and there's a lot of people that are trying to recreate that style, but it can be quite challenging. It's completely different compared to what you drink coming from up there.
That's mainly what I'm talking about. A lot of these that they try to make in Texas or Louisiana or Mississippi, and they're not too good, they're not horrible, I want to put it in perspective. A lot of these beers, I'm saying they're bad, but it still might be a B, 85 out of 100 a B. But the problem is I'm paying 98 out of 100 prices. So, if I'm paying Cadillac prices, I don't want Chevrolet quality. and that's a common problem. Well, at least in my experience. My friend David, he's even more aggressive about that. I mean, if you heard him off air, he's very guarded on air. Like he'll say, okay, and he'll make some measured comments. But when I turn off the camera, then he'll start flipping out. Yeah, I'll say, you should have said it. You should have said that on air. Oh, I didn't want to make a bunch of controversy, but he's very interesting. I wish I had some kind of secret camera where I could record him off the air and put it.
It'll be a separate playlist, right?
Could be the end of the channel, but
yes. No, I was thinking more like at the end of the video, like, when you're done, like you just have like
right. No, I said no, I mean it could be the end of my channel. It could lead to the end of the channel.
In that sense. Then no. We want to keep you around.
But he's pretty interesting, like and I'm the same way, and I guess I'm the same way because a lot of times when I'm recording a video, I'm thinking to myself, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Just keep it in your own mind. Try to be polite. Be polite. So I'll be like, well, I'm not too sure about this. But I probably am I am careful, I guess.
Ron, I'm sorry, we could talk to you for hours, but we had a certain amount of time here and we got to start wrapping up, but we'd love to have you back again. We just started to graze the surface here of questions that we wanted to ask you. And so I personally have a lot of other questions about your channel.
Sure, yeah.
Ask you. So we'd love to have you back if you're willing to come. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, cheers, everybody. Thanks. Cheers. We're going to do these live streams a little bit more often, everybody. We're calling it the Beer Brackets Pub. So it's going to be happen once a month where people can jump in if they want to and join us. And Ron, we hope to have you back soon too. Okay. And I'm on Alcohol Eggs on Facebook, and y'all can join me there. And we do a lot of talking over there. And yeah, maybe we'll join you there sometime soon. And we're going to post a link to your channel down below too. So if anybody's wondering how you can find Ron on YouTube, we're going to post a link down there right away.
If you don't know him already,
you don't know him already. Yeah, if you're watching this channel, you probably know Ron already. So. Everybody, thanks for joining us. To everybody who left a comment and asked questions, thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
All right.
Okay.
I end